Hey there, everybody. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to pick number 5 of my favorite 31 hard rock and heavy metal albums of the 80s. We've been counting down each and every day here in the month of May 2023, somehow trying to find our favorite 31 albums, hard and heavy albums of the 80s out of hundreds of really great albums. And my overall, like I told you guys a million times, my overall list is so long. But I was able to weed out and pick out 31 that I just love the most. I take into consideration how much I loved them back in the day and how much I still really like them today. All right. So for my pick number 10, that's key what I just said right there, because my pick today is the 7th album from this band. And many of you have probably heard me talk really highly about this album over the years. In fact, even a few years ago, maybe 2-3 years ago, when I was talking about some of my favorite albums overall of all time, this one either was number 1 or number 2. This was my favorite album of all time for a long time. It's changed a little bit over the last couple of years. I still love it. It's dropped down a little bit. A couple other albums that I always ranked pretty high as well, have kind of taken over and risen past it. But I still really do love this a lot because it is number 5, right? Released March 23rd, 1987 here in the U.S., March 31st, 87 in the U.K. Produced by Mike Stone and Keith Olsen. Recorded at Little Mountain Studios in Vancouver, Canada. Phase 1 in Toronto. Compass Point in Nassau. Cherokee Studios in Hollywood. One on One in North Hollywood. So recorded, work done on this all over the place. The original release and the remaster and whatnot. Geffen Records, EMI. I'm talking about self-titled from Whitesnake, otherwise known as the 87 album, right? That's right. This was my favorite album for many, many years. When this first came out, man, I was all over this album. Throughout the entire rest of the 80s and into the 90s, I just couldn't get enough of this. Could not get enough of this. The combination of David Coverdale and John Sykes, they worked together, of course, on the Slide It In album, but here was the album where the two of them basically crafted this album together, alongside some pretty good help as well, right? Because you had the great Neil Murray on bass. And of course, doesn't get enough credit for this album, but man, was he terrific on this album. Ainsley Dunbar on drums. So powerful on this album. You have some additional musicians helping out here and there, of course, in this album. You got Adrian Vandenberg playing a guitar solo on Here I Go Again. Okay. Got a little bit of keyboards from Don Airey, Bill Cuomo. But still, it was those 4 guys who created this gigantic wall of sound, along with Mike Stone, just killing it on the production. I mean, this album is larger than life, people. And there are still songs on here that, to this day, still just kind of rock my world, right? The updated version of Crying in the Rain. No disrespect to the original album, came out a few years before, which is great. But man, on this album, it just absolutely crushes. It is so heavy. John Sykes' big, ballsy, metallic riffage and just Herculean guitar solos just taking over that song. Coverdale's Shriek into the Heavens. Bad Boys is just a rampaging killer heavy rock tune. Then, of course, still one of my favorite songs of all time, Still of the Night. Just love Still of the Night. Still, to this day, I hear Still of the Night and I'm like, I get the goosebumps on the back of my neck. That's a mark of a song that has touched you, right? Big time. All these years later. Here I Go Again. It's a great song. The original version is a great song too. Here, this updated version obviously took the world by storm. It's a great song. Do I ever need to hear Here I Go Again? Probably not. But still, I get why people love it. Give Me All Your Love. Terrific, accessible rocker right there. Is This Love? Was never a fan, still not a fan. I know lots of people love Is This Love. There's a reason why Whitesnake still plays it live to this day. It was a huge single for them, huge song for them. It just was never for me. To me, it's just kind of like a sappy ballad and, moody sappy ballad at that. But, whatever. Children of the Night crushes. Absolutely kills. Love Children of the Night. Man, those riffs from Sykes, just tremendous. Straight for the heart. So memorable, so melodic. And then, of course, Don't Turn Away. Excellent, excellent song. Love it, love it, love it. I just wish on the U.S. version that they included Looking for Love as well, because Looking for Love is a real good, moody, heavy, simmering rocker. I dig that quite a bit. That was on the UK version. Love it. God, they could have squeezed that in here, right? Could have, should have, whatever. Anyway, still love it to death. I just don't think I love it as much as I used to, right? I think other albums, as you'll see coming up, have just kind of surpassed it. They've leapfrogged it just a little bit for me. And that's okay, because that happens in your life, right? Some certain albums you may like more than you did now, and some vice versa. It just happens. Some albums grow on you a little stronger. Sometimes, it's just a phase of your life. So I'm just, over the last couple of years, some of the albums that are sitting above this in my list, I'm just digging a lot more these days. Right? So you have to kind of take that into effect. It's not, I don't always, when I do these type of things, I don't always say, well, what was my favorite back in the 80s, right? Could do that, right? That would be pretty easy, actually, but that doesn't really also take into effect or take into consideration all my listening habits on these albums and enjoyment of them and love or lack of love in all the years, all the decades since, right? So I kind of have to weigh both out. Let's talk about some chart positions on this big seller, right? So Australia, number 23. Austria, number 25. Canada, number 5. The Dutch album charts, 27. Finland, number 3. Germany, number 13. Japan, number 19. I'm surprised it wasn't higher in Japan. New Zealand, number 2. Norway, number 10. Spain, number 27. Sweden, number 8. Switzerland, number 10. In the UK, number 8. US Billboard 200, number 2. Number 2. Hungary, number 38. What else we got here? How about the certifications, right? Here's where it gets interesting. In Canada, 5 times platinum. 500,000 copies sold. Germany, gold, 250,000 copies. New Zealand, platinum, 15,000. It's amazing how the numbers change depending on the country. Sweden, gold, 50,000. Switzerland, gold, 25,000. United Kingdom, the UK, platinum, 300,000. And the United States, 8 times platinum. And these are all numbers as of the last time they were certified, right? So that who knows when that was. But yeah, 8 times platinum. It's a big album. It's a really big album. So, yeah. And, just to show you the importance of this album. So, Guitar World magazine listed this as their top 20 hair metal albums, among number 20 of their top hair metal albums of the 80s. Okay. Rolling Stone, 50 greatest hair metal albums of all time. I don't know. I never call this a hair metal album. It's way too heavy for that. I get the look, but this is way heavier than most of these other albums that are called hair metal albums, in my opinion. Ultimate Classic Rock magazine listed this in the top 30 glam metal albums of all time. Loudwire, top 30 hair metal albums. Metal Rules, top 50 glam metal albums. Yeah, whatever. Kind of weird accolades there, but on Pete Pardo's scale, this is a number 5 album of all time from the 80s, at least today anyway. For many, many years, this was number 1. But yeah, still love it. Whitesnake, self-titled, or the 87 album, however you want to call it. Let us know what you think of this beast in the comments below, as well as your pick for number 5. As we march our way to number 1, right around the corner is my favorite 30 prog rock albums of the 70s. That's going to be real interesting because it's only 30 records. A lot of great albums from that decade. From the UK, from the US, from Italy, all over the world. And I said recently that I'm going to pick no more than 3 albums per band on my list. And I'm not sure quite yet if I'm going to change that to 2, because the problem is there were so many of the bigger bands who released way more than 3 great albums that decade. And in some cases, I have easy 3 for each one of them. So, my list could be made up of 6 bands. Just filling up 3 albums from each of them. So I have to rethink that. I've got a list that I'm putting together overall, and I may change that to 2 just to make room for more stuff again, I'm trying to pick my absolute favorites, but I always feel bad if I just include too many of the same bands over and over and over again, right? So it's just, I'm trying to make this kind of like fun and fair for all these bands, right? Not that it really matters, but so I haven't decided yet. I'm still, over this weekend, I'm going to put together my ultimate list and say, okay, how am I going to work this? So it'll all be done. Don't you worry. Come the first, I will have my number 30 ready to go for you guys. So I'm hoping you're all doing the same thing this weekend. For all you prog rockers that want to play along in the month of June, that's what we're doing. And then we're going to go back into guitar players again for July. We did my favorite riff masters of all time a couple months ago, or last month, whenever that was, and I'm going to go to my favorite lead guitar players of all time, right? So it's going to be a little bit different. So we're going to have some guitar players that'll show up once again, but this will be those the guitar players that just, man, their soloing abilities just breathtaking, and there's a lot of great ones across many different genres, but I'm somehow going to pick out my top favorites. So that's what's coming up in July, and then August, we'll see what happens. I got a whole bunch of other ideas that are percolating, so we'll see. I might actually go in August. I might actually go, because so many of you love this series this month. I might actually go to the 70s again, but do my favorite like hard rock albums of the 70s, hard rock and metal albums of the 70s, and do that. So we'll get like a double whammy of the 70s. We'll do the prog from the 70s and then hard rock and metal from the 70s. So that's probably what's going to happen in August, or maybe I'll switch it for July. I don't know. The guitar solo thing, the lead guitar player thing is also going to happen right around. So we'll do one or the other. We'll see how it goes. And anyway, that's what's coming. So visit us on the web at www.seatranquility.org. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube, all together, all the damn time. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and click on that notification bell so you get alert of all of our content as it posts. And please do hit the like button before you leave. We've also got the links to our Ko-Fi page for channel donations, as well as our merch page down below in the video description. So thanks for all of that. Please do hit the like button before you leave. Coming up here on the channel, we've got ranking the albums of Blondie coming up tomorrow. I'll be doing that, and we've also got the Curse of the Collector happening this weekend as well. There's that. We've also got a very special guest coming up on the show to do something with me on Monday. We've got Phil Ashton from Spinning Now magazine. Now Spinning magazine, and he's got his own YouTube channel. We've been kind of talking for a while, and he is going to be doing a little show with me here, all about those kind of MVP replacement band members. So those guys or gals that came into a band, replaced someone pretty important in that band, and did such a fine job that they didn't miss a beat. And man, that album or string of albums that they worked on post the other person leaving or dying or whatever it was, and they did such a good job. Their impact was so heavy that you didn't notice that there was someone brand new in the band replacing a beloved band member, right? So that's kind of the theme that we're doing. So we're going to be picking out a whole bunch of examples of where this worked out really, really well. So stay tuned for that coming up on Monday. Phil and I will be doing that together. So yeah, and then we got Tuesday, we've got In the Prog Seat. And of course that will be the episode all about Latin rock. It's a Latin rock primer. Ken Golden and myself from In the Prog Seat. It'll just be the two of us doing this. We've got a nice hour-plus discussion on Latin rock, classic Latin rock bands. It started with Santana, and we're going to talk about all the stuff that kind of came in the wake of Santana. Really, really cool bands that if you dig early Santana, you'll love a lot of this stuff. So we're going to be talking about a lot of the cool bands and albums that they produced in this kind of exciting Latin rock style, which I think will appeal to a lot of our progressive rock fans because there's a lot of similarities there. So stay tuned for that. It's coming up on Tuesday. So till then, I am Pete Pardo. For all of you folks here in the U.S., enjoy your Memorial Day weekend, but you'll be seeing us here very frequently. So thanks for watching. Take care. Bye-bye.